side, man. Let me repeat that again. One single day in the kingdom of heaven is better than 1,000 of your best days on this side, man. Okay? When things were better for you. Moments that you could reminisce on and say, yeah, it was a good day. The kingdom of heaven blows it out the park, man. It blows it out the water. Just one day. Not to mention, the Heavenly Father, He's going to stretch out the time. He's going to expand the time so you can enjoy your immortality. You can enjoy your life. And the Lord said in Wisdom of Solomon, He created the Israelite man to be an image of his own eternity, man. We're going to be a likeness of his own eternity, man. We're going to be many most highs, man. We're going to be many most highs. Okay? God's on earth under Yahweh Shem Yahushua. And also what's going to make us gods? These laws, statutes, commandments, and us judging by the laws, statutes, commandments, but also these laws being in our inward parts, making us those perfect judges. Not to mention, we experience these different reincarnations in this wicked flesh, so we know how to judge the flesh. We know how to judge this body because we've been in this body many times. Okay? But once again, the kingdom of heaven is going to be patterned after the mind of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, man. A righteous paradigm.
Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushua, Bahashem Kakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS, who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers. And peace and blessings, salutations to the hopeful elect out there pushing His word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds. In the name of Yahweh Bashem Al-Shah, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners, whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Al-Shah. Alright, now what I want to get into, alright, is Daniel, the 5th chapter, continuation of dealing with the series of the book of Daniel. Alright, and the setting, was in the Babylonian, the Neo-Babylonian Empire, in which we were captives. Alright, due to, our disobedience. Jeremiah, constantly warned, our people, matter of fact, just to give a little backdrop, okay, something I had gotten to this morning. So let's go here, because Jeremiah, was constantly warning our people, to get in order with Yahweh Bashem Al-Shah, and pretty much, just, obey, His will. And one of the wills of the Lord was for the Babylonian Empire to come into power. And Jeremiah, just telling Jake to chill, they could have been good. They could have been, a vassal, alright, under the Babylonian Empire. They could have been good, serving the Lord, alright. And because you see Daniel, even though he was high in the king's court, he was still faithful unto Yahweh Bashem Al-Shah, so he, was well off in that captivity, alright, but he was still faithful to Yahweh Bashem Al-Shah. And Jeremiah was trying to tell, the kings of Judah, to pretty much take that path, that's the route, he was trying to tell them niggas to take, okay, but Jake just rebelled, okay, until the point to where, they just all got put into captivity, okay. So you read Jeremiah 21, it says, now Pashur, the son of Immer, the priest, who was also the chief governor of the house of the Lord, heard that Jeremiah prophesied these things. Then Pashur smote Jeremiah the prophet and put him in stocks, all right, that were in the high gate of Benjamin, which was by the house of the Lord. So you read this in the NLT, it says, so he arrested Jeremiah the prophet and had him whipped and put in stocks at the Benjamin gate of the Lord's temple. Okay, so our forefather, you had the leadership at the time. Okay, there was the nobles, the king's courts. Okay, there was other priesthood. All right, they hated to hear the word of the Lord through the prophets. Okay, and they treated the prophets harshly, man. And the prophets are like an ambassador to Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai. And see, when you wage war against a prophet, all right, you're waging war against Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai. Okay? And that's why you keep reading. It says, and it came to pass on the morrow that Pashur brought forth Jeremiah out of the stocks. Then said Jeremiah unto him, the Lord have not called thy name Pashur, all right, but Margar Misabil. Okay? And when you go into this word in the Hebrew, all right, you go into this word in the Hebrew, all right, it's Magar, all right, Masa Bayab, Magar Masa Bayab, which is terror on every side. Okay? So him, smiting Jeremiah, which was a prophet of the Lord, okay, was him waging war against the Most High, and the result of it is terror on every side. Okay, and that's what a lot of our people are being led to, is terror on every side for their refusal to repent. Through the teaching of the prophets, through the warning of the prophets, man. Okay, verse 4, and this was the results of Jacob's rebellion. Okay, the leadership rebellion against the word of the Lord. For thus said the Lord, behold, I will make thee a terror to thyself and to all thy friends, and they shall fall by the sword of their enemies, and their eyes shall behold it, and thine eyes shall behold it, and I will give all Judah into the hand of the king of Babylon, and he shall carry them captive into Babylon, and he shall slay them with the sword. Okay? So Jeremiah was constantly warning Jake, okay, what the Lord was getting ready to do. All right, but Jake didn't take heed until they was in captivity, and it was too late. Like a lot of our people, in this time, So I just wanted to go into that. All right, and because this is before, all right, Daniel then was taken captive. Okay, when Jeremiah, all right, was prophesying, the downfall. All right, now you go into it, Daniel 5:1. It says Belshazzar, all right, the king made a great feast to 1,000 of his lords and drank wine before the thousands. Belshazzar, while he tasted the wine, commanded to bring the golden and silver vessels which his father Nebuchadnezzar had taken out of the temple which was in Jerusalem, that the king and his princes and his wives and his concubines might drink therein. Now, what we have to understand, there's a lot of history, there's a lot of time that went by from what we read, in Daniel the 2nd chapter, when he broke down, when he gave Nebuchadnezzar the interpretation of the statue. Okay, that was, Daniel was young, in his 20s. Scholars say he was in his 20s, early 20s. But by the time we get here to Belshazzar, Daniel was in his late 70s, early 80s. A lot of time had went by, because even though called Belshazzar, the son of Nebuchadnezzar, okay, he's not his direct son. He's a descendant from that lineage. He's a predecessor, which when you read it in the NLT, and we're going to get their history real quick, just for edification, it says, while Belshazzar, this is Daniel 5:2, it said, while Belshazzar was drinking the wine, he gave orders to bring in the gold and silver cups that his predecessor, all right, Nebuchadnezzar, had taken from the temple in Jerusalem. He wanted to drink from them with his nobles, his wives, and his concubines. So let's go into that history, all right, real quick. Now it says, the Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar died in 562 and was succeeded by his son Amel Marduk, okay, or evil Merodach. Okay, this is a hell of a name. The nigga name, meant evil Merodach. All right, and it says who was almost immediately murdered and replaced by his brother-in-law. All right, Neriglissar, who is probably identified to an officer of Nebuchadnezzar known from the Bible and had married Princess Cassiah. The new king invaded Anatolia and was victorious in Cilicia. All right. So this is now you have Nebuchadnezzar died, so his son, all right, Amal Marduk, takes the throne and he's immediately murdered, okay, and replaced by his brother-in-law, which was the husband of his sister, okay, and he takes the throne, Neriglissar, all right. So you jump down. It said, but in spite of his success, Neriglissar's reign was but brief. Okay, he died, and it says he was succeeded by his son Labassi Marduk. Okay, who in turn was immediately removed by coup d'etat. Because remember, this is not the blood of Nebuchadnezzar that's on the throne. So when it's coup d'etat, okay, they do a coup and they get, all right, Labassi Marduk, the son of Neglissar, all right, they get him off the throne and they install, all right, their royal blood back on the throne, all right. And it says, who in turn was immediately removed by a coup d'etat by a powerful Babylonian nobleman named Belshazzar, okay, and several officers. They put the old scholar uh, Nabonidus on the throne. Now, Belshazzar, who we're reading about in Daniel the 5th chapter. So you had three kings, all right, that came before, all right, Belshazzar and his father, Nabonidus. Now, Nabonidus was, crowned king, but when you go into, what he was doing, he was pretty much traveling throughout the kingdom trying to reform, all right, Babylon. He was trying to restore the old glory of Nebuchadnezzar. So he was away, all right, from the capital for decades at a time. Okay, for several years at a time, which we're going to go into it. And he left his son Belshazzar, all right, to handle the kingly duties, the day-to-day affairs of the king. Okay, so Belshazzar was really like the king, or his father, was more of an ambassador and reformer, moving around the kingdom. Okay, but it was a lot that happened, between Nebuchadnezzar and Belshazzar, all right, having the throne. And when we read in Daniel 5, this is the end, okay, of the reign of Belshazzar, okay, and his father. All right. So when you go from there, let's get this. Now this is Nabonidus. All right, it says Nabonidus was the last king of the Neo-Babylonian Empire, ruling from 556 BC to the fall of the Babylonian to the Achaemenian, all right, Achaemenian Empire under Cyrus the Great in 539 BC. Nabonidus was the last native ruler of ancient Mesopotamia and the end of the reign, marking the end of 1,000 years of the Sumero-Akkadian states, kingdoms, and empires. He was also the last independent king of Babylon, regarded as one of the most vibrant and individualistic rulers of his time. Nabonidus is characterized by some scholars as unorthodox, religious reformer, and as the first archaeologist. Now, when you read down, all right, I want to get to, okay. Now it says Nabonidus was to his own apparent surprise proclaimed king after the deposition and murder of Labashi Marduk, all right, in a plot likely led by um, Nabonidus' son Belshazzar, all right, through his reign. Throughout his reign, inscriptions and later sources suggest that Nabonidus worked to increase the status of the moon god Sin and decrease the status of Babylon's traditional national deity Marduk. And a lot of people didn't like, that Nabonidus was trying to, make, the moon god Sin, the national deity of Babylon, because their main deity was Marduk. That's why you see a lot of these kings will be named after Marduk, okay, and he pretty much fell out of favor, with the Babylonian, population, and that's why a lot, it was easy, for Cyrus, and Darius, the Medo-Persian, kings to come in, and take over, okay, because a lot of, there was even amongst, the noble families, they didn't like how he was moving, with his moon god. He was traveling and doing a lot of sacrifices and dedication to the moon god, and he fell out of favor with, royal families and most of the population, so they pretty much aided, the Medo-Persians, in the overthrow. That's why it wasn't much bloodshed, okay? But while he was off doing that, he would leave his son, all right, Belshazzar, okay, to handle, okay, the king's affairs. Now this is Belshazzar, meaning protect the king, was the son and crown prince of Nabonidus, the last king of the Neo-Babylonian Empire. Through his mother, all right, he might have been a grandson of Nebuchadnezzar, though this is in which is the Bible. And one thing about it, when you read this secular history, you see secular history, has to match the Bible. The Bible doesn't have to match secular history. All right, secular history, and that's how we can, extrapolate the meat and throw out the bones. Okay, so he was a descendant of Nebuchadnezzar. That's why the Bible, calls him the son, or Nebuchadnezzar his father. Okay, he was a descendant. It said Belshazzar played a pivotal role in the coup d'etat that overthrew Labash Marduk and brought Nabonidus to power in 556 BC. Since Belshazzar was the main beneficiary of the coup through confiscating and inheriting Labash Marduk's estates and wealth, it is likely that he was the chief orchestrator. Through proclaiming his father as new king, Belshazzar also made himself the first in line to the throne. As Nabonidus, all right, Nabonidus was relatively old at the time. Belshazzar could expect to become king within a few years. Nabonidus was absent from Babylon from 553 BC to 453 or 552 BC, from 3 BC, and self-imposed exile at Taimah in Arabia for unknown reasons. For the duration of the decade-long absence of his father, Belshazzar served as regent in Babylon. Okay? Belshazzar was entrusted with many, all right, typically royal prerogatives such as granting privileges, commanding portions of the army, and receiving offers and oaths. Okay? So when we get to Daniel the 5th chapter, this is after all that has happened. Okay, and he's pretty much, reigning as king in Babylon. All right, while Nabonidus is going on this spiritual journey, floating around. Okay, so it's Belshazzar that's on the throne, running the kingdom. Okay, and we see what is he doing? He's in his mirth. Okay, he's in his mirth. All right, and his spiritual, because why? Because he has, matter of fact, let's read it and we'll link it in the spirit. So let's read it, verse 2 again. It said, Belshazzar, while he tasted the wine, commanded to bring the golden and silver vessels which his father Nebuchadnezzar had taken out of the temple, which was in Jerusalem, that the king and his prince and his wives and his concubines might drink therein. And another point I wanted to get, all right, just real quick. This is just to show you, this when you speak of your fathers, it's just speaking of his ancestors. Okay, Nebuchadnezzar was one of his ancestors. All right, it wasn't his direct, father, because you can go to First Kings, and this is all throughout, the book of Kings and Chronicles. All right, but this is kingly talk because it deals with your lineage. We will call Jacob our father. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the fathers. All right, well, are we directly, their sons? All right, 1 Kings 22 and 50 says, and Jehoshaphat slept with his fathers, okay, and he was buried with his fathers in the city of David, his father, and Jehoram, all right, his son reigned in his stead. Now, was Jehoshaphat, was he a direct, son of King David? No, but he came through that lineage, okay, so we refer to David as his father. All right, and you read this in the NLT, 1 Kings 22 and 50. When Jehoshaphat died, he was buried with his ancestors in the city of David. All right, his ancestors. Then his son Jehoram became the next king. Okay, so just want to, go into that, man, so you can understand, the time frames, the time that has passed, this is decades, after Daniel, interpreted, okay, the statue for Nebuchadnezzar, because you read, you think chapter 2 and chapter 5, you only think that 2 weeks done passed, but no, there's been a lot of time has passed. Daniel's up in 8. This is Daniel 5 and 3. It says, then they brought the golden vessels that were taken out of the temple of the house of the Most High, which was at Jerusalem, all right, and the king and his princes and his wives and his concubines drank in them. Okay, they drank wine and praised the gods of gold, all right, and the silver, of brass, and of iron, of wood, and of stone. Okay, now they took out, the actual vessels from the temple, all right, but in this time, all right, Esau, Edom, he has the Lord's vessels, which is his people, okay, and ultimately, this whole system, is ran off our captivity and our ignorance, man, so it's pretty much like a party, these heathens are having a party off our captivity, man, they profiting, all right, majorly off our captivity. Okay, and you go into here, because it's pretty much he's feasting on having us, as slaves, man. So you go here to Zechariah 11, all right, and 5, and this is the spirit Esau is in today. Zechariah 11 and 5, it says, who possessors slay them, okay, and hold themselves not guilty. And they that sell them say, blessed be the Lord, for I am rich, and their own shepherds, all right, pity them not, okay, which is the leaders, the so-called leaders of our people, because they are with the play of keeping our people as perpetual slaves for the benefit of this system, man. But Esau in his mind said, like, I'm blessed. I got these niggas. I'm capitalizing off these niggas. And look, I can set up, leaders of their own people above them, and they don't have no compassion for them. So Esau doesn't hold himself guilty, man. He like, their own people don't even care about him, man. So I might as well capitalize off of them, man. But this whole system, when you go into it, because Esau's kingdom was jump started by, slavery, his profit off of our slavery, and Esau, runs this economy, okay, but he got the startup, that major startup money was our captivity, man, okay. Now this is Revelations 11 and 9, And it says, and they, all right, a matter of fact, I'll start at 8. Revelation 11 and 8, it says, and their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which is called, all right, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. Okay, and there is speaking of Israelites, man. Okay, in which, all right, we've been spiritually dead. You know, we've been separated from our power through disobedience and through this captivity, you know, that further, you know, separate us from who we were. Okay, so we are physically living but spiritually dead. All right, and it's taking place over here in spiritual Sodom and Egypt, which is America, man. Okay, while our Lord was crucified, where the standard of Yahweh Shai, okay, the true narrative of the Bible, all these things have been crossed out, you know, and this society is ran off complete rebellion. All right, and a platform for the rebellion in the earth, the motherland of the rebellion in the earth is here in America, man. All right, and it says, and they of the peoples and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies, okay, 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves. Okay, so these nations, the leaders of these nations, okay, the upper echelon, the top families of all these nations, they know who we are. Okay, and it's not in their benefit to show who we are, man. So they let us remain in this dead state, you know. But the spirit, all right, came on Elder Abba Bivens, you know, going back to, you know, 3 days and a half, 350 years, okay, from 1619 to 1969, all right, when the spirit started dealing with Elder Abba Bivens to, you know, go into Yahweh Shai, man. Okay, and that's when that breath was breathed into that to the believers, man. All right, began to be breathed into the believers, and we began to stand on our feet. Okay, yeah, we became resurrected in the spirit. You see, to what you have today, man. This is a great awakening, man. We were dead as a people, man. Okay, but now we're back standing on our feet. You see, and this is why what we're doing is a major problem, you know, to the forwarding of this kingdom. Okay, and it says verse 10, it says, and they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them and make merry. All right, as we see Belshazzar, he's making merry. You know, he went and sent for the you know, the sacred vessels of the temple just to party with, man. You know, just to, you know, just celebrate, man. You know, to pretty much make mockery of our captivity, man. Okay, it says, and shall send gifts one to another, because these two prophets, the northern and southern kingdom, tormented them that dwelt, all right, on the earth. Okay, so what we're seeing, all right, is these heathens, you know, they're able to rule and prosper, okay, with us being the tail. See, this whole system is rooted on the Israelites being the tail in society. And these heathens win, beginning with Esau, Edom. Okay? And the gifts that they sent was us, man. We got shipped all throughout the earth as slaves, man. Okay? And now these nations get to enjoy all these different markets, you know, these global markets where they benefit off of, but it was rooted in our captivity, man. Okay, so we see Belshazzar, he's pretty much boasting, you know, and having us as captives, man. Okay, so let's go from there. Let's go back in Daniel, the 5th chapter. This is Daniel 5 and 5. It says, so while they're in the midst of partying and bullshitting, okay, this is what happens. Daniel 5 and 3 says, in the same hour came forth fingers of a man's hand and wrote over against the candlestick upon the plaster of the wall of the king's palace And the king saw the part of the hand that wrote. The king's countenance was changed, and his thoughts troubled him, so that the joints of his loins were loosed, and his knees smote one against another. The king cried aloud to bring uh in the astrologers, the Chaldeans, the soothsayers. All right, and the king spake and said to the wise men of Babylon, whosoever shall read these writings and show me the interpretation thereof shall be clothed with scarlet and have a chain of gold about his neck, and shall be the third ruler in the kingdom. Okay, he was desperate, to get that understanding. Okay, and this is why this understanding is going to be the most valuable thing in the earth, when it gets hectic. See, when they was partying, okay, they wasn't thinking about, okay, wisdom. They wasn't thinking about understanding. They was just in their mirth. Okay? But then when it got real, when it started to get real, now wisdom became extremely valuable. Understanding became extremely valuable, man. Okay? And these are the times that we're coming into. That's why the Lord, goes here. All right? And Daniel's value, why he was so valuable, was because the Lord was dealing with him, man. Yeah, he was faithful to Yahweh Bashim al-Shah, and the Lord was faithful unto him. This is Isaiah 13:11 says, I will punish the world for their evil and the wicked for their iniquity. And we're coming into these times. Okay, and I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease, because one moment, all right, he was in his mirth. The wives, the concubines, his lords, everybody, drinking, talking shit, got it figured out, thinking about what they're going to do tomorrow, what trips they're going to take, and, you see, they was good. All right. But then the Lord caused that to cease immediately when their handwriting appeared out of nowhere, man. Okay? And this is what we're going to see, all right, as prophecy continues to take hold in the earth. Their pride is going to cease immediately, man. All right? It says, I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease, and will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. Okay? So this is why, we're in the time now. I know the Israelite men, they just tap into Yahweh, man. Constantly tap into Yahweh, man. Continue making ourselves available for Yahweh as much as possible, man. Okay? It's going to pay off, all right, when it matters most, man. Okay? Because this world is finished as we going to get into it. All right? This place is done. You see? So he's trying to get his astrologers, and there's nothing they can do. Okay? As you read on, all right? This verse 8, it said, Then came in all the king's wise men, but they could not read the writing, nor make known to the king the interpretation thereof. All right? Then was King Belshazzar, all right, greatly troubled, and his countenance was changed in him, and his lords were astonished. Okay? They were terrified, man. And then the wise men couldn't help him. The astrologers. And this is what Esau Edom is at. This is what the nobility of Esau Edom, this is where they at. Okay? They astrology, they're prognosticators, and their warlocks is not working for them anymore. Okay? They've been set up for failure. Okay? The Lord has gave them, their time period to reign, and now we're coming to an end. Okay? So the things that they use to establish their rulership is not working and keeping them in rulership, man, because the time is up. All right? So you go here, because he went and got all his astrology, and the elites are doing this, man. You best believe in these councils, that the elites are having. They got all their astrologers, the soothsayers, the witches, the warlocks. They got them all in one room trying to figure, all right, how to get around prophecy, man. Okay? And the only solution they got is already written in the scriptures for them to try to do, which is the C-hip, man. Okay? Isaiah 47:9, it says, I started 10. Well, yeah, I started at 9. Said, but these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day: the loss of children and widowhood. They shall come upon thee in their perfection, for the multitude of thy sorceries and for the great abundance of thine enchantments. For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness. Thou hast said, none seeth me. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge, it hath perverted thee. And thou hast said in thy heart, I am, and none else beside me. Okay? So this is the pride that these devils have had, all right, within their rulership. You know, to make the statement, I am, only the Most High can make that statement. Okay? But Esau, Edom, in his rulership, he's saying, I am. All right? And we see the results of pride over and over and over again. Let's read this in verse 10. It says, you felt secure in your wickedness. No one sees me, you said, because for the longest, they've been in the shadows just orchestrating all type of subtle wickedness in the earth, man. Just getting people to destroy themselves, man. These doctrines of death, that they push, as the way to be. This man has been in the shadows and just been destroying, society from the background, man. But now he's out in the open. Okay? The word has drew this man out to the open. It said, but your wisdom and knowledge have led you astray. Okay? What did he say? You're too smart, for your own good. Okay? So everything that the Lord has allowed this man to tap into, has led him to the point, all right, of his own destruction, man. His own demise, man. Okay, to where the point to a point to where he thinks that he's on an equal playing field with the Most High. All right, it said, but your wisdom and knowledge have led you astray, and you said, I am the only one, and there is no other. Okay, you see. So, you keep reading. Said, therefore shall evil come upon thee, thou shalt not know from whence it riseth, and mischief shall fall upon thee, thou shalt not be able to put it off, and desolation shall come upon thee suddenly, which thou shalt not know. Okay? So the Lord got to play for these devils that they not going to be able to buy their way out of it. They're not going to be, the enchantments are not going to get them out of it. Okay? They just going to have to deal. They're going to be subjugated to judgment, man. And these devils are so used to being in full control for so long, okay, that this is going to be unknown territory for them, man, to be subjugated to someone else's judgment, man. Verse 12, it says, stand now with thine enchantments and with thy multitude of thy sorceries, all right, sorceries, okay, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth, since the inception, all right, of America, man. It's rooted in witchcraft and Satanism, man. If so be, thou shalt be able to profit. If so be, thou mayest prevail. Thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. Let now the astrologers, all right, the stargazers, the monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee. Okay, and this is what we see Belshazzar trying to do when he sees the writing on the wall. He, instantly, resorts to his, his warlocks, his prognosticators, astrologers, okay, his diviners, okay, but they don't have the answers. You see, and Esau is at that same crossroad now. He's to the point to where he has no answers, man. Okay. Hey, but the men of the Lord have the answers, man, through Yahweh Shema Shai. Okay? And Daniel's gonna, all right, show him what it is, man. Okay? This is the answer. This is Daniel 5 and and 10. All right. So you read this, it said, now the queen, by reason of words of the king and his lords, came into the banquet house, and the queen spake and said, O king, live forever. Let not thy thoughts trouble thee, nor let thy countenance be changed. Now, when it says queen, all right, is speaking of his mother, all right, or his grandmother, one, because when you read it, because his wives and his concubines are already in the feast with him. Okay, so this is a woman that comes in, later on. All right, and she has a title of a queen. But when you read verse 10, it says, but when the queen mother heard what was happening, all right, so we refer to her as a queen mother. So she could have been his mother or his grandmother, But when the queen mother heard what had happened, she hurried to the banquet hall. She said to Belshazzar, long live the king. Don't be so pale and frightened. Now, this is another thing, lets you know that she's a much older woman, okay? Because she's going to refer Daniel, and she's going to go into, what Daniel was doing, all right, for Nebuchadnezzar. All right, so she had to be up in age to be around during that time, because remember, okay, Daniel was in his late 70s by now, okay, close to 80 maybe, all right. So for her to be around during them times of, when Daniel was, in the courts of Nebuchadnezzar, she had to go way back, all right. And another thing, like when you watch, I don't know, you brothers and sisters, how much you, all right, if you watch, period pieces like, Game of Thrones or, The Tudors or, different, series and period pieces, even with the Queen Charlotte, you know, when you go into it, a lot of those women that was married, to the king, those older women, those old king's wives, like they be having some good counsel. Like, they used to being around the courts, they done, been a wife to a king while he's, going to war, while he's dealt with scandal, while he's dealt with betrayal. And, they see the patterns of the king more than anybody. So they have a unique perspective, and especially as they get older, they kind of, know how things go. Now that queen, now they're not meant for rulership. Their whole office of a queen, it's an office that causes a lot of confusion, even when you go into that office, because, here it is, the king can have, children with other women, because the heathen dealt with their queen, you know. So they wouldn't consider certain children legit just because it didn't come from the queen, but as long as they're of their father, they're legit heirs, man. But that's a whole nother scenario. But just going, to how these queens they would, or these noble women, that was around for a long time. That's why Judith, she was she was like a noble woman. You know, she was of high status. Okay, and she had understanding. So these them old heads that been around, and they be on to something. All right, but yeah. So going back into it, verse 11 says, "There is a man in thy kingdom in whom is the spirit of the holy gods, and in the days of thy father light and understanding, all right, and wisdom, like the wisdom of the gods, was found in him, whom the king Nebuchadnezzar thy father, the king say thy father, made master of the magicians, the scribes, the Chaldeans, and soothsayers, for as much as an excellent spirit and knowledge and understanding, interpreting the dreams and showing of hard sentences and dissolving of doubts were found in the same Daniel, whom the king named Belshazzar. Now let Daniel be called, and he will show the interpretation." All right. Then when Daniel was brought in before the king, and the king spake and said unto Daniel, thou that Daniel, which art of the children of the captivity of Judah, whom the king, all right, whom the king, my father, bought out of Jewry. Okay, so, and this shows you too that, when you have all this chaos in the kingdom, and because there's a lot going on with running a vast empire, so Daniel pretty much kind of got lost in the mix. He was still had his office and was handling his affairs, okay, but when you have all this, soap opera going on, and around the throne, certain things get lost in the mix. When kings, a lot can change from king to king, you know, and show you, like, because it was a queen, like I say, it was just the queen mother had to come in and suggest Daniel. Like, Daniel wasn't even a suggestion, with Belshazzar, because he wasn't familiar. Okay, which it shows you in Exodus. All right, a thing changed. Exodus 1:6, and it says, and Joseph died, and all his brethren, and all that generation, and the children of Israel were fruitful, and this was in Egypt, and increased abundantly, and multiplied and waxed exceeding mightily, and the land was filled with them. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. Okay, so you read this in the NLT. Eventually, Exodus 1:8 in the NLT. Eventually, a new king came to power in Egypt, who knew nothing about Joseph or what he had done. Okay, all right, which it was through the Lord using Joseph that made Egypt a superpower. Okay, but this new king came in and he didn't have no knowledge of that. He didn't, he was just, because you get in your rulership, you get full of yourself. Okay, you just here enjoying the fruits of somebody else's labor. Okay, you get full of yourself, you get beside yourself, man. And eventually that Pharaoh will do what? Fall. Okay, same thing every time, man. Okay, and there's gonna be nothing different today, and this should give us faith. All right, that this nigga is done. Esau Edom, because he's marching down that same path, of pride and rebellion. Okay, so this is Daniel 5:14, and it says, I have even, this Belshazzar speaking to Daniel, I had even heard of thee that the spirit of the gods is in thee, and that light and understanding and excellent wisdom is found in thee. And now the wise man, the astrologers, have been brought in before me, that they should read this writing and make known unto me the interpretation thereof, but they could not show me the interpretation of the thing. And I have heard of thee that thou canst make interpretations and dissolve doubts. Now, if thou canst read the writing and make known to me the interpretation thereof, thou shalt be clothed with scarlet and have a chain of gold about thy neck, and shalt be third ruler in the kingdom. Then Daniel answered and said to the king, let thy gifts be to thyself, and give thy rewards to another. Yet I will read the writing unto the king and make known the interpretation thereof. Okay, so Daniel, he pretty much, because Daniel understands that Babylon is at the end, going to the 70-year prophecy, of Jeremiah, dealing with the rule of Babylon. Okay, which when you go into the rulership, of Babylon, it started in 612 in the fall of Nineveh, and it ended at 539 BC, so 51 years will put you back at 60 BC, and then you put those other 12 years, all right, so you had 62, 63 years, Babylon, Neo-Babylon, reigning, before it was taken down, which it was told, they will continue on, in the 70-year period, so within that 70 years, they will fall, so they fell, 62, 63, you know, between 62, 64 years, give or take. Okay? So this is at the end of that. So Daniel, he's up in age and he understand the prophecy. So he like, look, nigga, keep your gifts, man. Daniel is an older man, man. He's not tripping, no rewards. He's like, look, keep your gifts, man. I'm gonna tell you as what's gonna happen though. All right, but you keep your little gifts and treats. Give them somebody else. Okay. It says, verse 18, it says, O thou king, the most high power gave Nebuchadnezzar thy father a kingdom and majesty and glory and honor. And for the majesty that he gave him, all people, nations, and languages trembled and feared before him. Whom he would, he slew, and whom he would, he kept alive, and whom he would, he set up, and whom he would, he put down. But when his heart was lifted up, and his mind hardened in pride, he was deposed from his kingly throne, and they took his glory from him, and he was driven from the sons of men, and his heart was made like the beast, and his dwelling was with the wild asses. They fed him with grass like oxen, and his body was wet. All right, his body was wet with the dew of heaven, till he knew that the Most High power ruled in the kingdom of men, and that he appointed over it whomsoever he will. O thou, his son, O Belshazzar, has not humbled thine heart, though thou knowest all this, but has lifted up thyself against the power of heaven, and they have brought the vessels of his house. All right. It says, and they have brought the vessels of his house before thee, and thou and thy lords and thy wives and concubines have drunk wine in them, and thou hast praised the gods of silver and gold and brass, iron, wood, and stone, which see not, nor hear, nor know, and the power in whose hand thy breath is, and whose are all thy ways, has thou not glorified. Okay? You see? So here it is, Belshazzar, he knows what happened, okay, to Nebuchadnezzar. He knows that history. You see? So Daniel is telling him this, and he like, look, nigga, you know this. Okay? You gonna go the same way? Okay? In the scriptures, all right, let's go here, and then we're gonna get, how Esau, he's going down that same path. Okay? Because the scriptures, I think that's the keyboard won't pop up. Here we go. All right, this is Proverbs 16:18. It said, pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. Okay? Pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. Okay? And this is, we're living in a time before a great fall of a kingdom, which is Babylon the Great. All right? And what do we see at its peak? Pride. Okay? Belshazzar represents the peak, okay, of pride. You see? So when you go from there, let's go here to this prophecy. All right, speaking of this Babylon in Isaiah the 14th. Okay, and Esau, he's just beside himself, man. The pride of his heart has deceived him. Isaiah 14, and it started at 4. It says that thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon, and say, how hath the oppressor ceased, the golden city cease. The Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the ruler. Okay? So this is for this Babylon. Okay? So now this word is going, this is the proverb that we're taking up against this Babylon the Great. Okay? And if the kings of this system, this Babylonian system are the elites. Okay? They set up these little puppets, as presidents. Okay? But ultimately, they're the kings behind the scene. All right? But the Lord's getting ready to break the staff, okay, which represents your power, okay, of this wicked ruler. It said, he who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, okay? And this how this man rules the earth, with a continual stroke, man. He's always trying to figure out some new way to destroy. Like this man's whole mindset is how to destroy the people, man, how to ruin quality of life. Okay, how to ruin the environment, man. This man is constantly thinking of more ways, more, subtle ways of destruction, man. It said, he that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted and none hindered. Okay? The whole earth is at rest and quiet. They break forth into singing. Yeah, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon saying, since thou art laid down, no feller, all right, has come up against us, man. All right, was the devil is known for his deforestation. Okay, but this shows you that the earth is going to celebrate, all right, the taking down the earth itself. The earth is going to be able to heal when this man is removed from power. Okay, the earth itself, man. All right, it said hell beneath. All right, hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. All right, now we go into hell. There's three, all right, contexts with this word hell in the Bible. Okay, it's not talking about a place, all right, in the underworld where you go and burn, okay, forever. All right, that's Greek mythology. Okay, but you go into hell, it's either dealing with the grave, okay, or it's dealing, all right, with a condition, or it's dealing with the fire, all right, the judgment, all right, that's going to come in the form of nuclear fire in the chariots in the latter days. Going back to Gehenna, okay, a place where Jake, okay, would burn trash. All right, Jake would sacrifice children, wicked as hell. Okay, the Molech, but it represent, a form of judgment. Yahweh Shah was making that reference as he was liking the last judgment of fire, to the Gehenna, that place, okay, of burning trash, and child sacrifice, man. Okay, but then you have hell, okay, going into, the grave, which is death, but then also a condition, okay, and the hell that's all right, that's ready to meet this devil. Is a lot of these Edomites are going to be put to death in this last judgment, okay, and the remnant is going into captivity, which is going to be a condition, a hellish condition, man. Okay, America, these Edomites in America, they're all going to the grave. They're done. Okay? And the remnant of these Edomites throughout the world, they're going into a captivity, man. So hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirred up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth, which is the other nation. It had raised up, all right? It had raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations, you see. So this Babylon the Great is going to be judged for the world to see, and this is going to be the talk of ages, man, the destruction of Babylon. Okay. And then these nations, they're going right into captivity with these Edomites, man. Okay? It says thy pomp, which is thy pride, is brought down to the grave. All right, is dead. You know, they're gonna kill that pride. And the noise of thy vows, all right, which is music, that mirth, all right, the worm is spread under thee, and the worm covereth thee, which is this decaying infrastructure, all right, in America. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer? Okay, so it's speaking about all these things dealing with a man. Okay, and then someone still see this word Lucifer and think of the spiritual demon Satan. No, Lucifer just means light bearer. Okay, and Esau prides himself, with being illuminated on the left hand side. Okay, you go into the word in the Hebrew is Hayallah, okay, which is a light bearer. Okay, you see that? It says Halal, all right, describing the king of Babylon. Okay, it has nothing to do with the spiritual demon Satan. Okay, this is just a title describing the king of Babylon. All right, in which these elites, they pride themselves on being, illuminated on the left hand side. They run the world in left hand wickedness, man. They're able to be steps ahead of the masses because they privy to this left hand wickedness and witchcraft, man. Okay, they consider themselves to be illuminated. All right, so that's what Lucifer is speaking of, man. It said, "For thou hast said in thy heart, I will ascend unto heaven. I will exalt my throne." All right, I will exalt my throne above the stars of the Most High. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. Okay, so this is what his man pride is at, man. Okay, he feels that he, all right, is going to ascend into some type of godhood. Okay, this is what this man's mind is thinking. Like he's really going to ascend to godhood through his witchcraft and technology, man. Okay, this man really thinks he's going to be existing in space stations, and like he's really going to rule from the heavens. Like this man, his mind. This is how this man is thinking. Okay, the congregation of the north, all right, over here in America, which he rules over the tribes. Okay, it says, "I will ascend above the heights of the cloud. I will be like the Most High. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, all right, to death, all right, and captivity, to the sides of the pits." Okay. So his pride is leading him into, all right, the destruction of his kingdom, okay, and captivity. Death and captivity, man. This is where his pride is leading him to, man. All right, and we're watching it. So you go here, okay, and you keep reading in Daniel the 5th chapter. Because like you say, the congregation on the north, like he made this come up, in this captivity over here in the Americas, man. All these devils came up. These top families, have these trillions of dollars, man. Hey, it came off, this captivity over here in the West, man. The congregation of the North. All right, and it plays a major part in all the pride that this man has, to this day. Okay, and then he knows who we are. Okay, so he like, I'm God. I got the children of God. They my slave. I'm God. But we see where this pride thing go every time. Daniel 5 and 24 says, then was the part of the hand. It said, then was the part of the hand sent from him, and these writings was written. And this is the writing that was written, many to call a parson. This is the interpretation of the theme. And they, all right, the Most High has numbered thy kingdom and finished it. Okay? He's finished. You see? Let's go here. All right. Job 14 and 5. Job 14 and 5. All right. This is I started at 4. It says, who can bring a clean thing out of an unclean? Not one. And Esau is an unclean thing. There's nothing to be done to make him clean. And Esau has no desire to be pure. Okay, this nigga loves the dark side. Okay, it says, seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee, thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. Okay, so Esau, his kingdom, all right, is numbered. There's a specific, all right, beginning and end period. When you go into all these kingdoms, okay, it has a what? The start of the rulership and the end of their rulership. Well, Esau is no different, and that end is already set. It was prophesied for him to come into power, and it was prophesied for him to be removed from power. Okay, let's go here to the book of Luke 21. All right, we're at the finish of this man. Luke 21 and 24. It says, and they, this sums up a lot of history in this one precept. Luke 21:24 says, and they, speaking of us, all right, the Israelites that had to flee, from, pretty much the refuge, a lot of those Israelites that fled into Africa was refuge of what they call the Roman Jewish wars, which we know there's no ish, all right, it's just, Rome, all right, versus, Judea. The Romans, made war on Judea, all right, the southern kingdom, the Israelites, that was in their region, okay, at the time. And it says, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations. Okay, so this is 70 AD, all right, and then us being led captive into all nations was going to the transatlantic slave trade, which you did have, Jake being taken captive, during 70 AD and sold off into slavery, all right, but it happened on a mass scale, all right, during the transatlantic slave trade, all right. It says, it shall be led away captive into all nations, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down by the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Okay, or you read in the NLT, it says the period of the Gentiles comes to an end, all right, which is a finish. Okay, when you go here to the book of Acts, how shall I say? It's the book of Acts, chapter 1. Okay, verse 6. It says, when they therefore were come together, they asked of him, saying, Lord, wilt thou at this time restore again the kingdom to Israel? And he said unto them, it is not for you to know the times and seasons which the Father have put in his own power. All right, only the Father knows, all right, that exact time. But ye shall receive power after that you receive the Holy Spirit is come upon you, and ye shall be witnesses unto me both in Jerusalem and in all Judea and in Samaria and unto the uttermost parts of the earth. Okay, so you go here to the uttermost. Okay, the word in the Greek.
Strong's G 2078 Eschatos. Eschatos.
All right, it says last in time or in place, last in a series of places, last in a temporal succession. Okay, so this current kingdom of Esau Edom is the last kingdom of the Gentiles. Okay, and it's at the end. Okay, you see that? And we will prophesy in these latter times, and also in this latter place, which is over here in the west, which is likened unto the end of the world. Okay, just the farthest west you can go before you start going, making your way back to the east. Okay, so let's go back. So this place is finished, man. You know, that's why Daniel was like, look, man, keep your little toys, man. All right, you finished. Okay. It said there, verse 26. It said, "This is the interpretation of the thing." It says, "Many, the Most High have numbered thy kingdom and finished it." Verse 27 said, "Thou art weighed in the balance and are found wanting." Okay, because this man has done a lot of wickedness and this man hasn't paid. Okay, well, this man, you know, he's in debt. Okay, that means the wickedness that he's done. Okay, like he's in debt. Like there's been no punishment for all this wickedness, so he's indebted. Okay, and it's beyond money. Like, nah, that's why you gotta get that captivity out this man. Okay, you see, and you go here. This is Nahum 1 and 2 said, "The Most High is jealous, and the Most High revenges. The Lord revenges and is full." All right, and is furious. The Lord will take a vengeance on his adversaries, and he reserveth wrath for his enemies, man. So there's a debt to be paid for these devils, man, and they're found wanting. Okay, they're found lacking. Okay, because it's beyond money. Okay, that he can't buy his way out this situation. So his money is irrelevant, and paper is not real money. Okay, so he doesn't have the means, okay, to pay. He's going to pay with himself. All right, it said, "The Lord is slow to anger and great in power, and will not at all acquit the wicked." Okay, the Lord hath his way in the whirlwind, the chariots, okay, and in the storm, and the clouds are the feet of his dust. All right, it was like in the clouds are the dust of his feet. Okay, so this man is not going to be acquitted. All right, he's found wanting. Okay, that's why you go here to Jeremiah 30. Okay, this is going to be retributions. Okay, that's why we not here. All right, marching. Okay, for retributions from this devil. The Lord gonna give us true, all right, retributions, man. Okay, this is Jeremiah 30 and 16 says, "Therefore all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thine adversaries, every one of them shall go into captivity, and they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all they that prey upon thee will I give for a prey." Okay, that's going to be the true, all right, retributions from Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai, man. Okay, niggas still talking about 40 acres and a mule. Nah, man, this devil has a tab way beyond $1 million, $2 million to each, you know. Nah, man, he has a tab way beyond it. Okay, and it's written in the scripture, Revelation 13 and 9. It says, "Any man have an ear," and this is speaking of this beast system. You know, as this, you go to Revelation 13 is breaking down this beast, system. Okay, and in the midst of it, John, he puts this in the, he puts this in the game. "If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth in captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints," which are the Israelites, man. Okay, so this devil is found wanting. Okay, and this devil has to go into captivity, man. Okay, the judgment is already written. Which we'll get that too. This is Revelation 18 and 6. "Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her according to her works. In the cup which she have filled to her double," man. Okay, in this harsh captivity that we had to serve, all right, under these devils, man, she's going to get it back double. All right, it's going to be twice as harsh, and it's going to be twice the length. Okay, and on that 1,000-year period, that's going to be that payback, man. Okay, that's going to be the true, okay, redemption. So this devil, he's going to have to pay with himself. All right, We gonna take everything else, or that true payback is his captivity, man. That's why you go to the book of Psalms, chapter 149. I believe that's Psalm 149. Yep. I'll read the whole chapter, Psalms 149. And 1 says, praise ye the Lord, sing unto the Lord a new song, and his praise in the congregation of the saints. Let Israel rejoice in him that made him, that the children of Zion be joyful in their king. Let them praise his name in the dance. Let them sing praise unto him with a timbrel and harp. For the Lord taketh pleasure in his people. He will beautify the meek with salvation or victory, man. Okay, and this is what we're coming into, a great victory over the enemy, man. Okay, let the saints be joyful in glory. Let them sing aloud upon their beds, and this is when it's going to be time to feast and dance and be around our people. Okay, and see, this begins with the elect. All right, then we're going to be in the spirit of celebration, man, and feasting and eating and marriages, and and it says, let the high praise of the Most High be in their mouth, and a two-edged sword in their hand, to execute vengeance upon the heathen, and punishments upon the people, to bind their kings with chains, and their nobles with fetters of iron, to execute upon them the judgment written. This honor have all the saints. Praise ye the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai. Okay? And that's going to balance everything out, man. Okay, but right now the devil is found wanted, and the Lord is gonna make things all right. he's gonna straighten out the books. Okay, Yahweh Shai. All right, because the scriptures speak about a branch from Daniel. All right, the king shall execute judgment and justice in the earth. Because that's one of the responsibilities of a king, is to get things right, man. Get everything back in balance, with judgment. Okay? This is on Daniel 5 and 28. It says, Paris, thy kingdom is divided, all right, to the Medes and the Persians. Okay? And two of the main nations today, which the Medes represent the Russians, the Persians, all right, which is Iran. All right, as you can see, they're at the forefront, of the conflict with the West. You got Russia, okay, dealing with Ukraine, which is backed by the West, and all right, which are the Medes, and then you have Iran, in this conflict, that they're having with these small hats, okay. So you see, these two nations, the modern day Medes, which is Russia, and Persia and Iran, is gonna play a major part, in the destruction of Babylon the Great, and ultimately the end of all the Gentiles being in power. Okay, having some type of power and authority in the earth. All right, but we see, as it said, that the kingdom is divided, and even Yahweh Shah spoke about that when you go to the book of Mark, chapter 3. Okay. In 23, it says, and he called them unto him and said unto them in parables, how can Satan cast out Satan? And if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. Okay? You read this in NLT, it says a kingdom divided by civil war will collapse. Okay? And you got, the kingdom divided, within America. Everyone, because America is a bunch of individuals. The mindset of America is just, everybody just his own individual. Everybody's a main character, so there's a lot of conflict with the ideologies within America and this overall beast system, okay, that runs the earth. There's division within it, okay, which is going to lead to what? A collapse. And if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. And if Satan rise up against Satan and be divided, he cannot stand but have an end, which is what? A finish. Okay, so all this division that we seeing, between the NATO, the EU, America, within America, there's a bunch of division, on which way to go, and is leading to the end. All right, so you go to the word divide, which is marizo, which is to divide. Okay, to separate into parts, to cut into pieces, divide into parties. All right, i.e., to be split into factions. Okay, and let's get this word factions. All right, it says factions, a small, organized, dissenting group within a larger one, especially in politics. It says a state, okay, of conflict within an organization. All right, which you have infighting, strife, contention, all right, friction, controversy, bickering, okay, and this is all you see of falling out. This is all you see amongst these nations and amongst these people, man. Okay, they're divided into all these different fractions, man. Okay, Yahweh Shai spoke of it. You see, so this is Daniel, back in Daniel 5. And see where we at. 29 said, Then commanded Belshazzar, and they clothed Daniel with scarlet and put a chain of gold about his neck and made a proclamation concerning him that he should be the third ruler in the kingdom. And that night was Belshazzar, the king of the Chaldeans, slain. So that night got that nigga out of here, man. Okay? And Darius the Median took the kingdom, being about 62 years old, which is 62. Now, let's go here. All right, and we can end it here. This is Sirach 11. All right. And 5. Matter of fact, yep, this is Sirach 10 and 10. This is what I want. We can end it here. It said the physician cut it off a long disease. Okay, and Belshazzar, and you see how he was just instantly cut off. Wicked king, proud king. Like a disease. Because so is the king, so are the people. So the king's behavior affects, the masses. Like a disease in your body, it begins to affect your whole body. And he was cut off. Okay? Now, the worst disease, or even worse disease than Belshazzar's in power, was Esau, Edom. All right? Yahweh Shai is coming to cut off, all right, that disease. It says, and he that is today a king, tomorrow shall die. Okay? So you think the day before Belshazzar thought that he was going to die in that fashion? He was planning, because this is a feast, so he spent most of his time planning the feast, man. Because he said thousands of his lords, so he probably planning this for a while, because they didn't tell him where they had to come from, and, to be summoned, to their feast. Okay, so he was planning this feast like Esau. He's planning this new world order, but he's not knowing, like, look, man, tomorrow. As the scriptures say, what a difference a day makes, man. Okay? You see? So that concludes Daniel, the 5th chapter. Lord will, we can keep the ball rolling. We get into the 6th chapter, and just keep going into it, man. Like I say, the spirit, Lord willing, these lessons are edifying, more than anything. They're informative and edifying, and they faith boosters as well, So, Lord will, you brothers and you sisters edified. Till next time I say Shalom, Kwam Yasha Allah, Abba, soon.